each other's job, all the jobs to do, you do.
So you respect someone else's job and they respect your job. What else is tied up with that? What else is involved with
I
that?
suppose that would be understanding each other's role.
Yeah. That's what I meant, so.
Okay.
Understand each other's role, I think that's a good point. If you understand someone's role and they're doing it well, you're mindful of it. If you understand their role and they're struggling, you're also in a position to be able to help, aren't you?
I was just going to say that. Step up and help.
Yeah. So that's put that
Well,
one down.
Michael came to the job the other week and he gives a hand, pitched in the helps, make panels, just doing that, we'll help each other. Same thing.
You know, one of the strengths we put down was the size, and that we're small and tight and efficient and lean. And a number of the corporates that I worked for, if ever anything went wrong, which would be all the time, and he'd say, "You were supposed to do that last Friday. What happened?" "Oh, it's his fault." And then you go to that guy and he'd say, no, it's her fault. And you go to that woman and she says, "No, he should have." It's just like this the whole time. So the bureaucratic red tape, as well as the ability to come up with excuses for every reason for things not to happen and it not be anyone's fault, other than certainly not yours, and not being accountable for anything, because it's always someone else's fault. It's unbelievable. That alone drives you nuts, or drove me nuts. No one would ever take accountability for anything. Whereas at least when you've got a tight team and you can help each other, look after each other, know what each other's doing, and kick in when you have to, as long as the job gets done, it's the main thing, isn't it? Collectively, get the job done. What's another quality of the best place you worked at?
Easygoing boss.
So easy going or easy?
We're not married, you.
I'm not talking about you.
In fact, you're not a very easygoing boss, Laurie. That gets swiped off when you walk.
I think a boss has a very big impact.
Understanding probably
Good one,
is
yeah.
better.
No, that's good. Easy going, well, easy going, and understanding is a good one too.
Approachable as well. Like some bosses, you can't, go ask them for something, but I guess here you can.
What else? Karen, have you got any things that you think about when you think of the best place you worked and what made it so good?
Most of them are in there. The only other thing is that the boss understanding works both ways, that dramas happen at home sometimes and you need to deal with things like that. I suppose that comes under understanding really.
What about you, Adam? Anything about that?
Everyone else.
And what made it the best place you've ever worked at?
Gets to work late, 50 times.
Yeah,
Besides working with Eddie?
Um,
And then you had to work for your dad, didn't you? So, both did.
I would say
So,
that would be a good
you both
experience
involved
working
as
for
well,
his
didn't
dad.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yes.
Suppose not being yelled at, but great. The old man used to yell a lot.
Did he?
Only at me.
You used to yell at him too.
You know what I enjoyed when a place was levitating with success. And the reason why is because everyone knew their role and everyone played their part. That's a big part of what made it so much fun, is that everyone gave it a go.
Sense of humour.
Yeah. Everyone knows what you're going to do, everyone does their part, and once that's happening, once that's kicking in, you can have fun along the way. A bit like a duck on water. I always use that example. The legs are going 1,000,000 miles an hour underneath, but on top they're graceful. If we know what we're doing, we're good at it, and we've got it down pat, then we've got the luxury of enjoying the journey. But if we never get on top of it, and we're pulling our hair out in the stress and drama, you never enjoy that time to enjoy the moment. And that's, I've got to say, when I've worked with teams of people that know their job, that do their job, that get it done, you're allowed the luxury of having fun. And it almost seems like you've got to get it right before you can have fun. Or if you're not getting it right and you're mucking around, guess what? There's dramas happening. So,
But that also goes to, like, if you're having fun, you're enjoying where you are, it's not a big issue to go to work every day. If you enjoy it, well, I'm going to work. It's just
Yeah.
part of what you do.
yeah. I used to have staff come in early, work their guts out, go home late, because they'd rather be home enjoying themselves with the team than go home with their husband who was a pain in the ass. Not that that would happen with you two. If you haven't got the right team in place, it never clicks, it never functions. There's always some guy pulling some way that's against the grain, that's taking the piss, so to speak. And they have objectives, or they have outcomes that they want, which aren't aligned to what the business needs from that role. In a couple of places, when they were removed, the business flourished because the cancer was removed. And I think here now, the cancer's gone in the best, I mean, in the nicest possible way. And this team, I truly believe, is going to take this business to the new level. I've got no doubt about that. Is there anything else you'd add that made this business such a great, the best business you worked for, such a great business? What else about that business was so good? The team were good, the boss was good, the tools were given to you, you were appreciated, had respect for each other.
I suppose one company I worked for was a large piling company, and they had a lot of history. I suppose they had a very good brand, so they all over
You were
Australia.
proud of who you worked for?
Yes, yeah.
Beautiful. Put that one up there. Ori?
And it did pay dividends because
Not proud.
people knew when they got all the
Proud
cheap
of who you
prices,
worked for.
they ended up coming back to us because we were probably had the expertise.
As I told you, I love to learn about what's the most innovative thing in the world going on and share that with my clients. And something Adam and I worked on about 3 to 6 months ago was what makes companies now the most successful in the world. Because you don't stay successful for 100 years anymore. You might be number one for 3 months. And I mean, we look at the most recent example being Apple. And Apple was number one, and everyone thought they'd be number one for 100 years. And 2 months ago, Samsung knocked them off as the most profitable business in the world. I mean, whoever thought that could happen? When that magnificent piece of technology came out, back in 2007, 2008, when that first came out, it was like a silver shadow.
Yes.
It was magnificent. It was unbelievable to be able to touch a screen. Whoever thought? Whoever thought a company that invented such amazing technology would be knocked off by someone who copied them, 6 years later? Yes. So, working for someone you're proud of, the people who work for Apple are so proud. The people who work for Google are so proud. There's a culture, there's a thing about it. There's a thing about it. I'll never forget when I was doing my training with Maya at the City Store, and we all got together. They loaded us on buses and took us to the entertainment centre back then. And I was sitting down with the Perth crowd, and the Garden City crowd came in. And I looked at them and I thought, shit, they've got something going on there. There was something about the way they interacted, the way they laughed, the way they joked. And I thought, I want a bit of that. I want a piece of that. Because everyone else was sort of, here we go, another session. These guys came in and they were humming. And there was something different about them. And I know it wasn't a different brand, but certainly the way these people acted was a different business. And that's what that's what I wanted a piece of. So when you talk about being proud of who you worked for, there's something about that. There's a pride that goes with it, whether you work with Google or Apple or this piling company that you worked for back then. Anything else you can think of? That's probably enough, isn't it? Now this is the fun bit. Let's talk about when you disliked the place you worked at most and why.
Need another board, mate.
On the wall. 50% of the class here is in it.
Yeah.
Fill up all the way.
Unfriendly people.
Yeah. You worst there. No, just take those notes down. So unfriendly people.
You were just a number.
Unethical practices.
Yeah.
Lazy little shits.
Could be anywhere, don't worry, work review companies.
Cheap boss.
Violent workmates.
Cheap. Boss.
Boss, yes.
Violent workmates.
Island.
Violent workplace.
Lazy.
Maybe giving a damn about the business.
Handball king.
Who's that?
Handball king, like passing the buck. I know, I've worked at a few places. One of my bosses was like this.
Hands going flat.
Blame you for it. We'll blame someone else.
I was, yes, like supervisor, and he's, I don't know what he did actually.
Run the office and
Got yelled at all the time.
One of the worst places I worked at was one of the biggest companies in the world, and they were preaching integrity, but they had the worst integrity of any company I've ever worked for. So no integrity. And to this day, I still haven't got over it. That's how much it affected me.
Time clocks.
What?
Time clocks, used to have to clock in the other.
Time block.
Oh, you're 5 minutes late, the dog in half an hour.
Still
Get
getting
out
that
of
time
this.
clocks. My son's still thinking.
Put it down again. You see, I need to clock in 4 hours.
Yeah, I think harassment and bullying. Bullying is another example of that.
Guilty of that.
No, I used to be clerk of that.
I think every Aussie male did. You're either given it or taken it, weren't you?
That's the
On
culture.
harassment and bullying, the statistics I read, I don't know where I read it last week, have actually gone up
Yeah.
by about 20%.
Wow. Maybe that's because people are speaking about it.
And I think a lot of people,
I think it's probably more racial.
Yes.
yeah,
Understandable.
just comments, like small comments, people take that as bullying,
Yeah.
which is people don't have hard skin anymore. Like when I first started as a trainee, I got abused by the guys 2 up from me, and I'm glad that I got it done to me because it made me have a hard skin. I don't give a shit about if people, abuse me anymore. Just take it, and then I'll stand up to them. Harassment, bullying. One of the guys we used to work with is a different character. I don't know how you would.
Different.
Just different. Anyway, his comments can be a bit dodgy sometimes, but it's just him. You've got to see him who he is. So he's been called up a few times, and because I worked in the same office, I got called in too for harassment, and it was nothing It was just a girl. He didn't even touch her. He just walked past her and she yelled out, "Stop touching me!" And then he got in trouble for that. So
It's a kettle of fish, isn't it?
yeah.
What other things can you think of that were made the place unbearable, or somewhere you didn't want to be?
Being spied on, like
Yes.
like you're working with someone
Got a
who.
camera down now, do it?
What's that?
Yeah.
Well, they did have a
They
camera.
did have cameras.
They did have a camera, like viewing the bottom floor. But no, one of the ladies who was
See, you can pull it
aiming.
in.
No, we disconnected it and then broke it. Yeah, one of the ladies who was PA, head of admin, she used to, when I first started there, she used to be really good, very accommodating, trying to help us all the time. When we had meetings, department meetings, she would always try to put in inputs, and she wouldn't, if we had a whinge about something, she wouldn't go up and tell the boss. Then that changed and she just became a spy. So everything you said to her, you had
A
to
snoop.
yeah. And she would tell the boss everything.
Shocking. So what would you call that? Trust. Yeah, trust. Good one. Trust. If you
So
go
she
back.
was probably having a piece of him though.
Ooh.
Funny you say that.
Would you say, going back to the best place you worked, that trust was a good part of it as well? Because you were trusted there?
Yeah.
So trust on both sides, worst and best.
Yeah.
No trust on the worst, lots of trust on the best. What else can you think of?
Hated being there.
Huh?
You hated being there.
Why?
I had no choice. I was stuck with for 5 years.
Yeah, but if you, what was it when you were there that you hated? Was it all that other stuff combined? Or what else stands out that's not up there?
Nah, just didn't like the job to start with.
The actual job, the job itself.
Apprenticeship.
Your duties.
Yeah, once you're an apprentice, you're
I
stuck
stuck there
out.
for 5 years.
Yeah. And then, boy, did you get an initiation then as an apprentice.
We tried.
No, the things I do with trainees on boats,
Yeah.
that's sick, But anyway, that's another story. What else can we come up with for a worst scenario? Unfriendly people, untrustworthy, watching you, no accountability, lazy, violent workplace, harassment, bullying, just a number, unethical, no integrity, liars, cheap boss, just a number, unfriendly, just an awful place to be.
I suppose one I've come across was just disorganised team. The managers didn't know what was really going on. So
Management were
Too
hopeless.
many
Hopeless
chiefs,
management.
not enough
Yeah.
Indians.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Well, for example, I got employed at one company for about a month, fully part of company, but the main problem there was not with me or with didn't just like the company. The owner and the office manager didn't agree on employing me, so one of them didn't even know I was coming, and the owner did. So I turned up to what's he doing here?
Mm.
And then from that point on, I was really
In the
renting
science.
space, So
Mm.
eventually, when I was rude to him, he said, "Well, you shouldn't be working." I said, "That's great."
Mm.
But it should have been clearly said, "To come and work here if you want him." Yes, no. Whatever.
Unprofessional,
That's
really.
fine. Pretty well. Yeah.
Between the two of them.
Yeah. Exactly.
Poor management. Anything else we can think of? Oh, that's pretty good, isn't it? So obviously where we're going with this is that right here, right now, as we sit around the room looking at each other, this is the moment of truth. The past is the past, you can't change the past. The future is something that hasn't happened yet. The only thing we've got any control of is the moment we're in right now. So when we look at what we hated about places we worked, and we look about the places that we loved in the past and what we loved about it, because the team is complete now, and this team is the foundation we're going forward with. We have the opportunity right now, today, and going forward, to create the culture that we want in this business. That's the beauty of it, is this team here are involved right now in creating the culture that we want, which gives us everything that we've loved in places we worked at, and if we can come up with any other ideas that'll make this place even better to work at, let's whack them on the board. And the things that we hated, we also become mindful of as we design our culture going forward. That's what this session's about today, if you haven't got it yet. That's what we're doing, is every single person in this room is skin in the game. This is what we stand for, this is what we want in the workplace, and this is what we're going to go forward with. And we hold each other accountable to the culture we're creating right now. It's a pretty powerful thing. How does that sound? Good? Okay. So I'm just going to take a photo of that, and then let's start designing what we want this place to be.